You already know what you should be doing. That's the part nobody talks about. This isn't about information. You have enough information. You've watched the productivity videos. You've downloaded the apps. You've made the color-coded schedules. And then, 3 weeks later, you're right back where you started, staring at a textbook at 2 a.m., running on caffeine and guilt, telling yourself that tomorrow you'll finally get it together. But tomorrow comes and it looks exactly like today. The problem is not your discipline. The problem is that everything you've been taught about discipline is wrong. And the proof of that has been sitting in a 400-year-old book that most people will never read. There's a guy named Patrick, sharp kid, 3.8 GPA. He didn't drop out because he was lazy. He dropped out because he made one fatal mistake. He decided that studying required motivation first. He built elaborate schedules when the energy was high, bought new notebooks, rearranged his desk, downloaded focus timers, and every single time, by week 3, it was gone. The motivation evaporated, and with nothing underneath it, the whole structure collapsed. The last I heard, Patrick is 31, still figuring it out, still waiting for the feeling to come back. It never does. That story is everywhere. It might be yours right now. So let me tell you about a man who never once waited for a feeling in his life. Miyamoto Musashi, Japan, early 1600s. No father who stayed, no teacher, no money, no system built for him. He fought his first life or death duel when he was just a kid against a grown man and walked away. Over the next 16 years, he survived every fight. Not fights where losing means embarrassment. Fights where losing means you don't get back up. And he never lost. Not once. Then at 60 years old, weeks before he died, sitting alone in a cave called Regondo, he picked up a brush and wrote The Book of 5 Rings, a complete record of everything he had figured out about mastery, strategy, and the nature of winning. And buried inside that book is something that would completely rewire how you think about studying, something the productivity industry will never sell you because it cannot be packaged into an app or a morning routine checklist. Musashi called it the way. And the first thing the way demands is that you kill the idea that you need to feel ready before you begin. Here's what he actually wrote, and pay attention to this. If you merely read this book, you will not reach the way of strategy. Do not just read, memorize, or imitate, but so that you realize the principle from within your own heart. Study hard to absorb these things into your body. Into your body. Not your notes, not your highlights, your body. He's talking about a level of repetition so deep that knowledge stops being something you recall and starts being something you simply are. That is a completely different game from what most students are playing. Most students are playing the performance game. Show up when it feels good, study hard before the test, pass, forget everything in 2 weeks, repeat. It looks like studying. It produces grades sometimes, but nothing sticks, nothing builds. And 3 years after graduation, they couldn't explain the core concepts of their own major if their life depended on it. Musashi played a different game entirely. He trained every single morning. Swordsmanship, strategy, calligraphy, painting. Same time, same intensity. Rain, illness, grief, exhaustion. It didn't matter. And here's the part that most people miss when they hear this. He wasn't doing it through willpower. Willpower is a fuel tank and it runs out. What Musashi built was something that didn't require fuel at all. Think of it like this. When you wake up in the morning, you don't motivate yourself to brush your teeth. You don't give yourself a pep talk. You don't open YouTube and watch a video about oral hygiene habits before you can bring yourself to reach for the toothbrush. You just do it because your identity has absorbed it as non-negotiable. Musashi made training that. His sword practice was not a thing he chose every morning. It was a thing that simply happened, the way breathing happens. The question is, how do you build that? You stop treating your study session as a decision. Every time you sit down to study and ask yourself, do I feel like this right now? You've already made it 10 times harder. You've reopened a negotiation that should have been closed permanently. Musashi writes in the ground book, do not think dishonestly. The way is in training. That's it. There's no clause in there for bad moods or low energy or one more episode of whatever you're watching. The way is in training, full stop. So here's what you actually do. You pick one time, one specific hour that is now your hour, the same way 3 p.m. is rush hour. It doesn't care how your morning went. It arrives regardless. Your study session becomes that. Non-negotiable, not flexible, not conditional. And you do not skip it not once, because every time you skip, you reopen the negotiation. You hand your brain evidence that the structure has exceptions. And a structure with exceptions is not a structure, it's a suggestion. Guts from Berserk doesn't stop swinging because he's tired. Rock Lee doesn't skip training because his body hurts. These characters hit something real in people, something they recognize on instinct, that the grind without gifts destroys the gifts without the grind every single time. Musashi was that, except he was real, and the duels were real, and the consequences of losing a session weren't a bad grade, but a sword through the chest. Now here's where the real leverage is, and this is the part most people skip straight past. Consistency without quality is just theater. Musashi understood this. In the Water Book, he writes about the twofold gaze, perception and sight. Sight is looking. Perception is actually seeing. Most students are sighting. They read words, they turn pages, they move the highlighter across sentences, but nothing is penetrating. They're performing the ritual of studying without the substance of it. Close your textbook right now and try to explain what you studied last Tuesday. If you can't, you didn't study. You watched yourself study. The fix is active retrieval, and it is brutal. Read a section. Close the book. Write down or say out loud everything you just absorbed in your own words without looking. Then open the book and see where you were wrong. Then close it again. Repeat until you can reconstruct the concept from nothing. This is painful. It's supposed to be. That friction is the mechanism. The discomfort is literally the encoding happening in real time. Passive reading creates an illusion of learning. Active retrieval creates the actual thing. In the Fire Book, Musashi talks about training until decisions happen without thought. Not faster thinking, no thought at all. Pure instinct forged through repetition. That's the level you want your foundational knowledge at, not retrievable with effort. Just there, the way your name is just there when someone asks. One more thing, and this lands differently depending on where you are right now. Musashi closes the Book of the Void with this: accumulate practice day by day and hour by hour. Polish the twofold spirit, heart and mind. When your spirit is not in the least clouded, when the clouds of bewilderment clear away, there is the true void. The people who study consistently every day without drama or motivation cycles, they found the void, not in a mystical sense. They removed the internal argument. The daily debate about whether to show up ended, and with it went the exhaustion of that debate. You don't realize how much energy that negotiation costs until you stop having it. Patrick is still having it. Every single day, he starts the negotiation fresh and loses it fresh. Almost a decade in, you are not going to wait for motivation. You are not going to design the perfect conditions. You are going to pick an hour, sit down, close the loop on every distraction, and work. Tomorrow you're going to do it again, and the day after. Not because you're stronger than Patrick, because you stopped asking yourself whether you wanted to. Musashi fought 60 duels and never lost. He didn't win because he was gifted. He won because when other men were debating whether to train that morning, he was already done. The desk is right there. The hour is coming whether you use it or not. What are you waiting for? Thank you for watching. If you want to see everything YouTube keeps cutting out, subscribe to my Patreon today and access the full uncensored footage. I'll see you next time.